Okay, here are your solutions to guided practice 3-4. Our first problem is Liam is reading a 254-page book for school. He can read 40 pages in 1 hour. The equation for the number of pages he has left to read is 254 minus 40x, where x is the numbers of hours he reads. So he reads x hours. We're going to subtract 40 times every hour he reads from the starting value of 254 because he has 254 pages to read at the beginning. So letter A says state the slope and the y-intercept of the graph of the equation. Well, that's really quite easy to do. Our slope, remember, is the coefficient of x. Now don't be confused by the fact that we have the x after, and in fact the y-intercept in this case. Okay, so the coefficient of x, so m equals negative 40. That's what our slope is. And our y-intercept is our starting value, our initial value, remember, of 254. So once we have that, then they want us to graph the equation. And remember, to graph the equation, we merely start with our y-intercept and we plot that on the y-axis. So the y-axis 254 is going to be, generally speaking, in that vicinity there. Now, what are we going to do? We have a negative 40 slope, and I'm going to leave a little space down there because we can think of that as negative 40. Oops, that's not a 0, that's a 1. A negative 40 over 1. Now remember though, however, if you look at it closely, each unit represents 40. So we're going to drop down 1 unit of 40 and go across 1. Remember, we're going to be a little bit short of the actual 0 point here, okay? So again, drop down and over, down and over, down and over, etc., 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 and we're going to go through to right about this point here. And now it's time to take out that straight edge and draw a nice straight line here. And now we've got our graph of the situation. And again, it's always a good idea to write y equals 254 minus 40x. Now we could just as easily have written that equation as y equals negative 40x plus 254. And then you would see that this would be our 254 intercept, and we're dropping down 40 and going over 1 for each one. But they put it in this format, so that's what I want you to see here. Let's clear things a little bit so we can see a little bit better here. Now, one thing I want to point out again is this is another poor example in the graph here, in that they did not label either axis. So if you look at it, obviously these would be pages left to read, and this would be the hours. So we could go pages here and hours. I really, really am disappointed in this book because it's very important for you to recognize that you need to always do those sorts of things. Now I want you to interpret what the slope and the y-intercept mean. Well, remember, we had a slope of negative 40x. You can say that m equals the pages that he reads per hour, and it is a decreasing value, so it is a negative slope. Our y-intercept of 254, I should say, represents our starting value, how many pages he had to read to begin with. Problem number 2. Write an equation in slope-intercept form for the graph shown. Well, first of all, we can immediately look here and recognize that our intercept, our y-intercept, is negative 6. We don't even have to count it because it's labeled there. Additionally, we can see our slope up here and run of there. So we've got a rise of 1, 2, 3, 4. It's a rise of 4 and a run of 1, 2, 3. So we've got everything we need. We've got a rise over run of 4 over 3. So our equation is y equals, the m is the slope, 4 over 3 times x, and then subtract 6. Right there is the equation of our line. And now lastly, building on the essential question, how does the y-intercept appear in these three representations? And we have a table, an equation, and a graph. In a table, it's when x equals 0. Okay, that is where your y-intercept is going to be when you have no x value. In an equation, it is the constant. And we refer to that constant with the letter b. And lastly, in our graph, it's where the line crosses the x-axis. So if we have a line here, right there would be our y-intercept on a graph. Please do guided practice.